Okay, guys, gals, friends, and family, I want to thank you to the channel again. This is General Patton's Bushcraft and Self Reliance School. I am still super stoked because I got another recap, Alone Season 8. This is Episode 8, and the title is The Grizzly. Let's get right into it. All right, it's day 32 now. 5 people remain. And the show starts out with Biko. And Biko tells us, welcome to Mouse Land. Okay. Hey, it's starting to snow now. We got a few inches of snow on the ground now, and the mice they're coming indoors now, and he's pissed, okay? We see him go down to the water and tweak his ankle again, trying fishing. He doesn't catch any fish, and he tells us that he gained 45 pounds leading up to the show, so he's got plenty of calories still. All right, no fish for Biko. And then later that night, he's woke up by a mouse nibbling on his bowstring silencers. All right. Okay, day 33 now, episode 8, titled The Grizzly, and the show moves on to Clay. Clay tries fishing. He sees a grizzly down the beach. Oh my goodness, he gets some pretty good footage of that grizzly. Then he goes back to fishing, and I'll be damned if that grizzly bear doesn't come back up the beach right at Clay. Clay stops fishing, he sees him, and Clay tries to run into the woods and climb a tree to get this bear to walk underneath him. But the sucker turns around, goes the other way. He gets spooked by the camera that's on the beach. So Clay tracks the bear, and he sees the bear tracks go right through camp. Okay, then the show drops Clay right there, moves on to Teresa. It's still day 33. And Teresa shows us her burned and blistered legs. She tells us she made a sewing needle out of a fish hook, and we see her sew up that hole in her sweater. But she goes out to check the trot line, and it's a tangled mess. The lines are frozen, so that passive fishing is not going to work for Teresa. And she has a small little breakdown. I felt bad for Teresa. She had a lot invested on that trot line. She was close to tapping, I believe, right there, but she pulls it together. Okay, show goes on to Coulter. Coulter tells us how wonderful it is to go poop inside the shelter. Okay. He said it was just totally awesome, that he felt like he had to go number 1, and they ended up having to go number 2, so he went ahead and went inside the shelter. He said he loved it. All right, he gets ready for the day, goes out on his boat. He checks his fish trap, and if that thing is not tangled on the bottom, he can't pull it up. So he tries to pull up as much paracord, he cuts it, tries to salvage as much paracord as he can, but he loses his fish trap. Okay, day 34 now, and the show moves on to Biko, and Biko shows us that he's braiding his beard, getting that thing out of the way. Later that night, that mouse is back in his shelter, and he shows us how that sucker chewed the top half of his ankle brace off. And boy, is he pissed. Biko blasts the air horn a couple times and tells the mouse to fuck off. Okay, day 35 now. Rose wakes up and checks her trap lines. Fishing's not going good for Rose. She finds bobcat tracks on her snare lines. So it looks like the bobcat's been going and messing up her snare lines, probably going in the middle of the night while Rose is sleeping. She tells us that her feet are getting cold, and she goes back to the shelter to warm those feet, and she shows us the purpleness of that one toe. And I think Clay may have said it, maybe the boots are too tight, no circulation, not enough circulation. Okay, day 35 now, and the show moves on to Clay. We see Clay sitting out his nice shelter with that tan buckskin recliner, sipping on some tea, letting the sun hit his face, and then, oh my goodness, he sees a bear on the beach. Clay gets up and he goes and tracks this bear. He's out in the woods now, and this thing comes around a tree, charges right at Clay. Clay has to pump some of the pepper spray, and whoa, was that a close call. He goes back to the shelter later that night. He says he's done tracking bears. Okay, day 36 now. Teresa, we find her cleaning both her cameras. I guess she found some wipes and all that camera gear they give them. So we see her clean both cameras. She goes out, checks her snare lines. Nothing. Goes down, and she notices that the lake is a lot lower. She goes down to the beach. The lake's a lot lower. It's receded a lot. And she finds two fish. One small fish, looks like it had some talon marks on it. Maybe an eagle dropped it. Another dead fish washes up on shore. She finds it. She doesn't like fish. We see her go back to the shelter, clean these things, and eat them. She stomachs it, gets it down. So good on Teresa. All right, day 37 now. The show moves on to Rose. And Rose tells us she had the worst night of sleep ever. Her left foot feels dead and frozen. She gets up, tries to gut it out, tries to go out and get some water to boil, and she blacks out in the forest. And good thing the medics were already on the way for her med check that day. They find her back in the shelter and they check her out, and sure enough, they pull her for medical reasons. Then 5 days after the extraction, we see that interview of Rose. Nice little interview. You guys need to check it out. It's season 8, episode 8, titled The Grizzly. And I want to thank you guys for stopping by the channel, listening to this recap. I'm super stoked. I hope you guys like it. Please subscribe and share. Leave me some comments. Thank you.